Hello and welcome to the Gary Dunn Show for October 7th, 2024. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and on today's show we'll talk with Coach Dunn about this past week's trip to Clarion, and then we'll break down everything in the PSAC, and then we will look to this upcoming week's opponent, the Seton Hill Griffins. And Coach, heck of a weekend this past Saturday. You know, the 1980s Cleveland Browns of Brian Sipe had a nickname of the Cardiac Kids, but this weekend maybe call Cardiac Cow because you kept everybody in the stadium till the end, but a hard-fought victory, and like we said last week, there's no takeaway, there's no easy games in the PSAC West.
No, you go on the road, you got to be ready to play, and you know it's going to be a four-quarter battle. I was really proud of our guys, the way they hung in there, the way they fought. Things weren't going our way. We easily could have shut it down, but we didn't do that. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things that we can improve. One, I'll give Clarion a lot of credit. Thought they had a really good game plan offensively. We got to do some things better. We gave them some things, but the takeaway and what I told the team right after the game is, man, we play the next play. We're going to battle. We're going to compete for 60 minutes. You know, we always talk to our guys. There's a storm in every game. You know, there's a period in every game where we don't play well or the other team makes plays. So what? It's going to happen. You know, it happened a little earlier than usual, but I was happy the way our kids battled. Now we've got a ton of things to improve, but you know, what I'm going to take away is we battled and competed for 60 minutes, and fortunately for us, we needed all 60.
Well, we're going to fast forward a little bit towards the end of the first half. Clarion got out to a 14-0 lead. Towards the end of the first half, they were driving, had a fourth, probably a yard and a half, 2 yards inside the 10-yard line. They decided to go for a field goal. Your special team blocks it. You go down before the half and score 3. So how big was that?
I thought that
momentum
was the two block kicks that we had. We blocked the field goal and then we blocked an extra point. And I thought those were huge plays. And, you know, you fast forward to the end of the game, when we have the ball, we only need a field goal to tie. And with the kicker that we got, I kind of was in my head knew where we had to get. But because we took points off the board, we were in that situation. So huge plays. You know, offensively in the first half, we only had 3 possessions. We missed a post for a touchdown. Davis, you know, we gave up a little pressure and had Eric Willis for what would have been a touchdown, but Davis kind of got hit when he threw and we underthrew it. So that was one possession. One possession we just didn't execute, and the other one we went down and kicked the field goal, and we had some opportunities to score on that possession. So I felt like offensively we were playing okay. And I felt like we would score points. It's just, you know, it didn't happen in the first half.
And what was the message to the team at halftime? You know, like I said, you go down, you take 3 off the board, put 3 on the board for yourself, have a little bit of momentum, and, you know, you have 30 minutes to right the ship.
It was just, okay, they're playing well. We got to play better. And, you know, I thought the field goal at the end of the half was big. We come out and we get the ball in the second half and we score right away. So now it's a 14-10 game with, 8 minutes left to go in the third quarter. All right, now let's settle in and let's play.
And then, you know, that second half was back and forth. We'll fast forward a little bit. Clarion goes ahead, I believe it was 10 points with 4 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go. Your team back against the wall, go down, score, hurry up offense, but the possession your defense had to force Clarion to punt right away when Clarion had a chance to probably get it to the 2-minute warning was huge.
And that's what we're gonna talk about today in our team meeting. We got a team meeting at 2:00, and it's play the next play for us. I don't care what happened the first 3 quarters. I don't care what happened the first 3.5 quarters. That's over. We got to go get a stop, and when we needed a stop, we got one. Was really happy with the way the offense, they did score. I think it was about 6 minutes left because, you know, you start thinking about, okay, you've got 3 timeouts. When do we start calling these timeouts? We get the ball back, down 10, go right down and score. And now there's 4 minutes left to go in the game, or maybe just under 4 minutes. I did call 1 timeout on that possession. We took a sack or gave up a sack. And I called a timeout. We were talking about as a staff, the new rule with a 2-minute warning has really changed college football because now the way I look at it is you got 4 timeouts. Mm-hmm. In years past, without the 2-minute warning, I probably wouldn't have called the timeout with 4 minutes left, but it was going to be second and long. I just wanted to regroup. I didn't want to have to hurry up after a sack. You got to get your wide receivers back lined up. Hey, let's regroup here. Because of the 2-minute warning, we're still going to have 3 timeouts. So we score. I think there's 3 minutes and change left. So now we've got we've got the 2-minute warning and we got 2 timeouts. So we got essentially we can stop the clock twice. But our defense needed to get a stop and they got it. You know, we got a stop. We ended up getting good field position, and the rest was history when we get on and score.
And you got an offense that was starting to hum, especially towards the end of the game. And, that last touchdown pass by Davis Black in the end zone was, something that might go down in history as one of the biggest touchdown passes.
Yeah, I tell you, the last two that he threw, the one to Amari Hopkins down the seam, he threw it. He was decisive. He ripped it, and he put it over two guys and in between two guys, which was a great route by Amari, and it was a great ball by Davis. And then DeMont Martin gets open on a go ball. They kind of misplayed it. I think they're going to look back and say, they missed and played some things. But that's the game of football. That's why you play 60 minutes. And DeMont was able to get behind a guy, and Davis laid it right where it needed to be put. And the way we played offensively in the second half was how we could be. I sat here last week and told you we're going to have other receivers step up. If you look at the last 3 weeks, Eric Willis had a 100-yard game. Day Johnson had a 100-yard game. And now this week, DeMont had a 100-yard game. Amari's caught, I think, 5 or 6 touchdown passes in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I like our depth at wide receiver, and I like the way that Davis is trusting those guys to make plays. And each week it may be a different guy that has a big game, and we're fine with that.
Now, you score the touchdown to go ahead. There's still about a minute, maybe 45 seconds.
56 seconds.
What's the message to the special teams first and then your defense, knowing that just, Saturday was a crazy day in college football all around, but just knowing that anything can happen?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one takeaway from the game that we're going to discuss at 2 o'clock is I was not happy with our special teams play. Other than probably the punt team and the field goal block team, I don't think we valued the things that we preach, and we hadn't had a great day of special teams to that point. But we're going to run and we're going to go get this kicked on inside the 20, and our defense is going to get another stop. And I thought we did a good job on I think they did. I think it was a touchback on that. So kickoff team did its part. We put the ball in the end zone, and then now defense, you got to make a stop. They had all 3 timeouts at that point, so we got to get off the field.
And your team did an interception to seal the deal, a quick kneel down, and you got out of Clarion with a hard-fought victory. And like you said, second week of PSAC West play. There's a lot of football to be played, but that's a great comeback win.
Yeah, well, anytime you go on the road, I'm assuming the fans down in Alabama didn't think they were going to go on the road and lose to Vandy this week. College football, there's good football players everywhere, and there's good coaches everywhere. I thought Clarion did a really good job. They had their kids believe, and I think some of that for us, and another one of my takeaways when I talk to the team is I'm not worried about the last play. You could see our body language on defense that when they were having some success was not good. We've dropped that and go make a play. Let's get a stop. It doesn't matter. They got 3 first downs in a row. We're going to defend every inch of that field. Go make a stop. And I thought we did that, holding them to the field goal. And blocking the field goal. That's the takeaway for our guys is, hey, look, you got to stop when you had to, and then we block a kick, and it's no points. I don't care what happened between the 20s. Let's stand up in the red zone.
Well, let's take a look at inside the numbers this past weekend. Davis Black, we mentioned the last-second touchdown, 3 touchdowns overall, 422 in the air, and then he found 9 receivers. Again, like I said, you mentioned it. You're getting guys, different guys are stepping up, but 9 receivers. DeMonte Martin and Eric Willis both going on over 100 yards. DeMonte Martin almost had 200, 189. So just showing the depth and the
good balance. I wasn't happy with the way we ran the ball. And it, everyone thinks, well, it's the O-line. No, it's a combination of things. A couple runs, the back didn't put it in the right place, or the tight end didn't do this, or the O-line, got off too early on a combo block, whatever it is. But we've got to get back to more balance. And I'm fine throwing the football. Clarion was playing a 1-high defense and supporting the run with their corner and rolling a safety down. So 1-high, you should throw the football, but we've got to do a better job running it.
And on the defensive side, your team, once again, we've been saying it all season, getting good pressure up front. Only had 1 sack officially, but 5 tackles for losses for 19 total yards and a lot of pressure. I know the quarterback for Clarion ran around a little bit, so that kind of skewed things, but all starts up front.
He's a really talented kid and runs the football really well, and I think that created some problems for us. Clarion runs a different offense than just about anybody, and we didn't play – to play well against Clarion, you got to play assignment football, and we did not play assignment football for about 3 quarters of that game. And it showed, and Clarion, give them credit, did a nice job. But they run a different offense than anybody, so we've got some things to work on there. And then you flip it to this week, Seton Hill runs a different defense than anybody. So offensively, we're going to have to play assignment football. But when we needed a stop, we got to stop. And then when we needed another stop, we got a turnover. So, that's the takeaway to our team is, hey, we're going to battle for 60 minutes and don't worry about what happened before. Let's get this stop, and then let's get the next one.
And Dominic Solomon Jr., he had the game sealing interception at the end, also chipped in with 12 tackles, 9 solos, and 3 assists. But, yeah. Coach, that's all we have for Clarion. Let's take a look at the highlights, and then coming up after the break, we'll look at the highlights against Seton Hill last year. We'll break down the PSAC West and break down the Seton Hill game. You're watching The Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Vulcan football is back and ready to take on the best the PSAC has to offer this fall. After road games at Charleston, Westchester, and Lock Haven, the Vulcans return to Adamson Stadium for the home opener on September 28th. Save the date for October 19th and homecoming versus Slippery Rock. The Coal Bowl comes to Addison Stadium on October 26th versus IUP. The home schedule concludes with back-to-back games on November 9th versus Edinburgh and Senior Day November 16th versus Shippensburg. For up-to-date information on the Vulcans, follow Cal Vulcans on social media or go to calvulcans.com. For live games and highlights, go to CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube or the PSAC Digital Network.
Deep pass down the field right away. This looks like it is going 10-5, and that is a one-play touchdown from your California Vulcans. Drop back pass down the middle, intercepted by California, taking it down the close sideline. Looking for some blockers, getting some help, and he takes it in for a pick six. Drop back pass for Black. Black down the sideline. Once again, that is a touchdown. Another passing touchdown. Drop back pass for Seton Hill. Pressure coming from his backside. Rolling out, throwing the ball away. Interception by California as he takes it up the sideline looking for some blocks. He looks like he's going all the way, picking up some more blocks. All the way down. That looks like that is a touchdown, California. Drop back pass. And that is intercepted by California.
Keith Charney with his second one.
Drop back pass going deep down the middle, and that is going in for a California touchdown. That is Amari Hopkins. Four-man rush. Incomplete. That's an interception by California. he's going slot fade for a touchdown. I believe that is Amari Hopkins with his 3rd touchdown of the game.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. Coach, we just saw highlights from Clarion and this upcoming week's opponent, Seton Hill, from last year. But quickly, before we look at the scores, you mentioned a little bit of Alabama Vanderbilt, but just speaks to how crazy college football at any level.
Yeah, you got to show up and play every week, and there's going to be upsets and there's going to be close games, and it's just. That's why we love college football. You've got to play for 60 minutes, and look at the Miami Cal game. They were up 25, and Miami comes back to win. So it's we preach to our guys, turn the scoreboard off. We're going to play for 60 minutes, and at the end of the game, we'll look up and see where we're at.
Well, my friend's text thread was going off with the everything going on. I said, you guys haven't seen anything. Look at the scores from the PSAC, because it was a wild day everywhere, and I still can't get used to saying California and Miami's a conference game. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna ever feel
right. I'm not
right.
buying into it either.
Well, let's take a look at the scores from this past week, second week of divisional play in the PSAC. As mentioned, California 31, Clarion 27. Lock Haven goes to Shepherd, takes them down to the wire, but Shepherd wins 45-38. Kutztown over Bloomsburg 42-10. East Stroudsburg over Millersville 57-17. Slippery Rock and IUP, that one went down to the absolute wire. Slippery Rock wins 33-32. Westchester beat Shippensburg 28-10, and then Gannon beat Seton Hill 23-17, and that was in Erie. And Coach, we'll take a look at while we're talking the all too early. 2 weeks in, a couple teams 2-0, a couple teams 0-2, a couple teams 1-1. I know no coach likes to look at standings, but again, there's a lot of football to be played. Everyone still has their fate in their own hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's each week is a separate week, and that's why college football. You go to a lot of different sports. Not every game means something. In college football, every one of them is just as important as the last one.
And this important one this week is at Seton Hill. Little I-70 rumble between California and Seton Hill, about 40 minutes between the two schools. And it always seems like no matter where the game is, there's always some chippiness. It's always hard fought, and especially there's always, it's always a game that you're not sure what's going to happen. I know you've had some time to look at film. Let's break down Seton Hill's offense first. What do they do?
We got one of the premier tailbacks in the league. He's running for well over 100 yards every week. Does a really good job. He's elusive. He's got great balance. He's got great power. He's got great speed. So it all starts with him up front. They'll throw the ball to him out of the backfield. They're going to try and find a way to get him 25 to 30 touches a game. They've got a host of receivers. I don't know that they have, last year they had one true dynamic, they were trying to get him the ball, and they're more balanced this year, got a really good tight end, more balanced spreading the ball around, which makes it tougher to defend. I'd rather have a premier wide receiver and know where the ball is going than have to defend all four of them equally. But they're solid up front. So it's going to start with their run game. Quarterback's doing a nice job, but they're going to start with their tailback and then diversify from there.
And you mentioned, Coach, in the first segment briefly that they play a different defense than anybody else. What is it that makes them so different? Yeah,
they just play a different front, and they disguise things differently. They'll bring blitzes and sprint a guy to what we call two invert. And in normal football, if you got three receivers over there and there's three defenders that are covering them, they can't blitz. Well, now they put a fourth over there. Well, one of those guys can blitz. They'll bring them and scream a guy from the other side of the field. So we're going to have to really be on our game as far as assignment football. They're built around stopping the run. They're going to outnumber you in every box. They're going to say you're not running the football. They're going to try and get you in long down and distances, and then bring an exotic blitz and twist and pick guys and hold guys, and it's a chore every year to go against these guys, and they do a great job defensively. I think they're only giving up maybe 21 points a game right now. You've got to be ready to play, and they've got talented kids. 56 is an edge rusher that I just got done watching, as good as anybody in the league. I think they're really good in the secondary. I think their corners are really, really solid. I think the free safety does a great job of getting over the top, and they're going to play cover one most of the day. So we've got to play assignment football, and we've got to continue to take care of the football.
And it's no secret that your team has been road warriors this year, only one home game so far. But as a staff and as a team, would you rather have an away trip like this 35 minutes down the road, or would you rather have the, hey, we got to get on the bus, we're all kind of together? I mean, or does it not matter?
After playing 5 of 6 on the road, thank you PSAC for that. Hopefully we can talk about that and get that worked out. But I don't want to play on the road anymore. No, it's I think it's nice that we're gonna get up, we're gonna have a pregame meal here at the Student Center and get on the bus. At this point of the season, typically, to answer your question, I like getting away. I like getting the kids off campus. I like getting them in a hotel. It's just us. We can spend some time together. But at this point, after 4 overnight trips, I'm excited that we only got a half hour, 35-minute drive.
And it's kind of a unique stadium. The fences are close, the sidelines are close, the fans are close. What is that like going into a different environment? Because besides Gannon, this is probably the most unique setup anybody has.
Yeah, it's. I'm not a big fan of the sideline. I mean, there's no room to operate. The officials are yelling at you, telling them to back up, and then I tell them I got to stay behind the fence if you want me to back up any further than I am. But they play really well at home. Every time we've went up there, it's been a 4-quarter battle. So we're going to have to play well, and hopefully we're getting used to playing on the road.
And that game is a 4 o'clock kickoff in Greensburg. We'll look at the rest of the schedule here for the PSAC, and then I'll give you a couple seconds, Coach, to make your pitch to get people on the road in their red and black. Going to be a great day Saturday weather-wise. But California Seton Hill, 4 o'clock, and then a slate of games at noon. Shippensburg, Millersville, Lock Haven, Kutztown, and Shepherd and Westchester at noon. Gannon and Slip Rock at 1 o'clock. East Stroudsburg and Bloomsburg at 2 o'clock, and then IEP Edinburgh also at 2 o'clock with Clarion at the bye. But, Coach, tell the people why they should come out. It's 40 minutes, beautiful day, 65
I got yelled
games.
at last week by my daughter, who said I didn't mention that she comes to every game.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, at the end of that game, she was standing behind the bleachers because she couldn't watch anymore last week. But my wife and daughter will be there. And come up to Greensburg, maybe do a little early Christmas shopping, head to the mall, maybe – early Christmas shop and grab a bite to eat for lunch and then come over to Offutt Field at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock kickoff. If you can't be there, CUTV Sports will have you covered. It'll be live on the PSAC digital network and also on CUTV Sports 1. But, Coach, can't believe we're second week of October, got another road week, and then homecoming next week. But that's in the future. That's not here yet.
We're worried about this one. We're worried about a trip to Seton Hill and we're on fall break right now, so I think the kids got to sleep in this morning. The meeting should be interesting. But we had weights this morning at 9, 10, and 11, and then 2 o'clock meeting, so let's get back to work.
And back to work they will on Saturday. Once again, 4 o'clock. Make the short trip over, not down, and support the Vulcans. So for Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. You're watching The Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.